Good afternoon, PJ here. We're going to be working on some crown molding today. I love doing crown molding, so I'm going to try and make it as easy for you as I can. But before we start that, I'm going to give a little shout out to my boy Jason with Black Guns Family Apparel. He makes these awesome shirts. I love his shirts. I wear them all the time. They're soft and they're comfortable and they fit good around the waist for a guy with a spare tire like me. It doesn't fit too tight. So anyways, shout out to my boy Jason. So anyways, I'm going to be using some Behr. This is interior semi-gloss. I'm big on painting my crown molding first. I hate putting any trim up and then going back and trying to do all my cut in and tape off and everything. I like to paint all my trim first. Once my trim's painted and dried, then I start putting it in. Makes it so much easier because when you're done, you just do some touch-up painting and bingo bango. So I'll start with this. Okay, so we got the crown molding all painted. As you guys can see, nice good coat of paint over it. You might have to do 2 coats, it's up to you. So I'm going to go over some of the tools that we're going to be using. Right here, this is a coping saw. I like to do a coping technique when I do my crown molding. Tape measure, I have 2 different sizes of files, wood glue, and that's a DeWalt 20 volt 18 gauge cordless nailer. That's one of the nailers I like to use. I also have a pneumatic one inside, 18 gauge. I like to have one inside, outside if I'm nailing some stuff out here. I'm not going back and forth. It makes it a little bit simpler for me. I also keep a tape measure inside to make it a little easier for me. Also, you'll need a pencil. As you guys can see, I have a DeWalt miter saw here. This is a miter saw I like to use with the Delta stand. This is the easiest stand that I've found so far. It makes it convenient for going job site to job site. So this is some scrap crown molding. I use that, set it upside down to set up my DeWalt jigs. These crown molding jigs make it really easy to set your crown molding in, and it sets the right angle the whole time. If you don't have these jigs, one thing you could do is lay your crown molding flat, but you have to turn your miter and your compound miter at a different angle. Okay, so here's the area we're doing. We're going to do this nice little entryway here with crown molding and come right out here to the corner and just toe it back in. So one thing I like to do is I like to make a little jig, and I'll hold this jig and get it just right and mark right at the bottom of it, and then every so often do that. That way when I put my crown molding up there, I make sure that it meets up with my line just right, and I don't have a wave going in it. So I'll do that really quick. Just in a few spots. So one good thing about putting in crown molding, just to throw it out there, when I painted this, I did a really horrible cut-in job up here. And this allows me to cover up my cut-in job by doing crown molding. And it looks really sharp, so when people walk in, they're like, oh my gosh, you have crown molding. And it's like, yeah, I did it myself. It looks good. So another thing that I learned from somebody else, just to make it easier for your measuring, it's really hard to take a tape measure, roll it across here, fold it into the corner, and get your exact measurement. So what I like to do is I'll put my tape measure in the corner, I'll come out 10 inches, make a mark. Same thing on this side, 10 inches, make a mark. So this way, when I need to get this measurement across this front wall, I already have 10 inches there. Now what I can do, put my tape measure in the corner, measure across, 49.25 plus 10, 59.25. So my measurement's 59.25 all the way across. Because I have short-term memory loss, I always write it up there, that way I don't have to measure again. So I have that measurement. I'm gonna get this measurement over here. Move my scaffolding. Now because this one ends in a corner, I can just stick the tape measure right through that corner, come all the way out, 56 and 7/8. 56 and 7/8. This one's 56 and an 8. Awesome. And then one thing I can do also is take my piece of scrap and do a quick little diagram and then write it on there. 56 and 8. That way when I go out to the saw, I have these written down and I'm not coming back in and measuring again, because trust me, I've done that 1,000 times. And the older I get, every time I walk outside, I forget why I went outside. Okay, so we'll go out to the saw and we'll work on making our first cuts. Okay, so important thing about crown molding, we have to put it on the saw upside down. Don't ask me why, it's way over my range of capability of thinking. But anyways, we put the crown molding in the saw upside down. I like to cut the end off first. So I always start by cutting the end off, make sure everything's nice and tight against the guide on the back. Okay, so this piece is going to be for the left-hand side as we're looking at the entryway. I'm going to do a butt cut on the back right-hand corner, and then on the left-hand corner, I'm going to do that little toe in. Okay, so I have my 45. This bottom part is our furthest point, and the top part, which is actually the bottom on the wall, is going to be our shortest point. So I got to hold it tight against the fence. I make my cut. Now this one's going to be a straight cut. I'm going to measure again just to make sure. My dad always told me measure twice, cut once. So this piece will go up like this on that left-hand side. Butt cut on the right-hand side, that's going to go all the way against the wall. Now we're going to work on making this. Turn the saw back to 0. Make your cut, and then let's make sure it fits. Beautiful. So now we have our cuts. So I'm just going to put a little wood glue on here. Squeeze these together for a minute. And then I'm going to let it sit while I make my other cuts. Okay, something I want you to understand about doing crown molding, you're going to make mistakes. So if you make mistakes, don't get frustrated. I always make mistakes. I just have to keep pushing forward when I do it. Are you good there? Okay, so now we have this piece glued on. So I'm going to take this crown molding, put it right up in here in this corner. I like to kind of push that butt cut in the corner first, and then lay it in here, so I know I'm getting it at the right angle. There we go. Or the right distance. Because it's so short, it's really easy for me to do by myself. If I was doing longer pieces, then I would have a jack to help me, or I would hire my wife to give me a hand. Put a couple brads in it. I like to leave the end loose until I do my other cut. That way, if I have to adjust it at all so that the cut fits right, it's a lot easier to do. Let me get this other one put up. Awesome. Now it's time to go make our other cut and do our coping. Okay, so we have the butt cut, top left-hand corner, and that corner up there. So ultimately, we're still going to do a 45. So this is going to be that corner. So I did a 45. It'll still, like, this is the top part, this is the bottom, it goes in that corner. Now with the coping, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my coping saw, find a nice place that's easy to hold it, and then I'm going to follow this white painted line the best I can all the way around.
Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give Even when I lose, I'm winning. Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning. Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning. Cause I
different angles. Now if you notice, I still have some of the wood right along that, so that's where the file comes in. I'm going to take the file and just clean that up. Now if you look how the back of this is cut back at an angle. Now some people might be wondering, okay, this takes longer, right? However, you get a better fit in the corner. Now not every corner is exactly a 90-degree angle. Sometimes they're off slightly. So if you do two 45-degree angles to go into that corner, sometimes they don't meet up right and you have a gap either at the bottom, the top. So with this, it's going to fix all that. Now because my crown molding isn't long enough, I'm going to do a 45-degree angle cut. Do a nice 45-degree angle cut here, and then when I mirror my other piece into it, it'll match up real nice and neat. Okay, so back inside.
Am I stuck? Yeah.
Okay, so we have this coping side that I cut outside, and we're gonna set it right up in here, and it fits beautifully. Throw a couple brads in it. Okay, now we have this 45-degree angle cut right here. I'm going to push this into this wall and I'll get a measurement for here, and then we'll make this cut and I'll do another coping cut. We'll put that in and bingo bango. Okay, so we got the piece cut and it fits, so I'm going to put a little bit of wood glue. And the wood glue is going on this portion right here. That way when the wood expands and contracts, that little seam that I have, it's not going to break. It'll be nice and tight all the time. and voila. In a couple minutes, I'm gonna get some caulking, and I'll start caulking it, and I'll show you guys how I like to caulk it and how I clean up the corners. Okay, one cool trick that my dad taught me, take a small file, and a lot of times on your corners like this, you'll have one end sticking out just slightly. So I'll take the file and I'll just slightly work it, nice and easy, and I mirror that up. It's a nice little trick of the trade that just kind of blends everything in and makes it look nice. So another thing that I'll show you, I have an oscillating tool with a sander head on it. And so right here on this little cut that I did earlier, I want to blend that in. So I'll use the oscillator tool.
Sugar boom boom, I'm chasing dragon. This dragon's got my hand. Sugar boom boom, out robbing people, but I'm an honest man. Sugar boom boom, I'm chasing dragon. This dragon's got my hand. Sugar boom boom, out robbing people, but I'm an honest man.
Let me tell you straight up, homie, this story's not rehearsed. Done my share of drogas, but we
More touch-up paint to do, but it's worth it to have a better seam right across there. Now that seam just flows perfectly. Now, a trick that my dad also taught me with caulking it, a damp rag, usually like an old t-shirt or something, just dap painter's caulk, and then I just run a bead right across here, run my finger in it, and then wipe it right off. And bingo bango. So I'll show you a picture when I'm all done. I'll finish this up and show you guys what the finished product looks like. Once you get this caulking technique down, it actually goes really, really fast.
wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Just a little bit of wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Just a little bit of
Don't stop moving, baby, on that floor that drive me crazy. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Don't stop, don't stop, don't. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Don't stop moving, baby, on that floor that drive me crazy. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Don't stop, don't stop, don't. Wiggle, wiggle. Darkness, no parents. Continue darkness, more darkness, get it? The opposite of light. Black hole, curtains drawn. In the basement, middle of the night.
I'm proud I am.
Gonna do the two-step, then cowboy boogie. Grab a sweetheart and spin out with him. Do the hold down and get into it. Take it to the left now and dip with it. Don't throw down, take a sip with it. Now lean back, put your hips in it. Let's have some fun. Gonna do the two-step, then cowboy boogie. Grab a sweetheart and spin out with him. Do the hold down and get into it.
So if you guys can see, at least there's parts up here that's already done. I think it turned out pretty good. It's not perfect. I'm not perfect. There's only one person on walk this earth that was perfect, and we crucified him. So I'm just trying to do my best. If you guys have any questions, comments, please throw the comments in the bottom. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Once again, PJ. Thank you for watching my tutorial on crown molding.